When Dr. Phil opened the envelope, what he saw was the most shocking family secret of his 40-year career. The studio lights were bright as always. The audience settled into their seats, cameras rolling. Dr. Phil McGrath stood center stage, his signature confidence radiating through the room. In his hands, a white envelope. Not just any envelope, a DNA test envelope that would shatter everything a family thought they knew about themselves. What happened next stopped production cold. Dr. Phil's face, normally composed and in control, shifted. His eyes widened, his mouth opened slightly. He looked up from the paper, scanned the faces on stage, then back down at the results. The cameras kept rolling, but everyone in that studio knew something had just changed forever. "Hold on," Dr. Phil said, his voice quiet but commanding. "Stop the tape." The room froze. In 40 years of television, Dr. Phil McGrath doesn't stop the tape for drama. He stops it for truth. And what he just read was a truth no one in that room, not even the producers, had anticipated. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back to where this story really began. 3 months earlier, when a woman named Rebecca sent an email that would change everything. Rebecca was 52 years old, a school teacher from Ohio. On the surface, her life looked normal, even blessed. But beneath that surface lived a question that had haunted her since childhood. Why didn't she look like anyone in her family? Her father had passed away 5 years earlier. Her mother, Linda, was now 76. And there was always something Linda wouldn't talk about. A wall that went up whenever Rebecca asked too many questions about her birth. Then one day, Rebecca took a DNA test, not to prove anything, just to know. The results made no sense. The test showed she shared DNA with her mother, Linda, but the connection wasn't what she expected. Something that couldn't be explained by the story she'd been told her whole life. Rebecca needed answers. She needed Dr. Phil. When Dr. Phil's team first read Rebecca's letter, they knew this wasn't just another family drama. This was the kind of story that could help millions of people wondering about their own families, their own secrets. 3 weeks later, Rebecca and her mother, Linda, sat across from Dr. Phil on his stage. "I've always felt different," Rebecca said, her voice shaking. "I love my mother. I love my family. But something wasn't right. Something wasn't being said." Dr. Phil leaned forward. "Linda, your daughter is sitting here asking for the truth. What do you want to tell her?" Linda's hands trembled. She was a small woman, aged by time and by the weight of what she'd been carrying. Her eyes darted between Rebecca and Dr. Phil, looking for an escape that didn't exist. "I don't know what she wants me to say," Linda whispered. "I think you do," Dr. Phil said, not unkindly, but with the firmness of someone who'd spent decades reading people. "And I think this might be the moment to say it." The silence that followed was thick. The audience barely breathed. Rebecca stared at her mother, waiting. Linda stared at her hands. Then Dr. Phil did something unexpected. He stood up, walked off stage, and gestured to one of the producers. The cameras followed him as he spoke quietly, urgently. The audience couldn't hear the words, but they could see the producer's face change. Dr. Phil returned to his seat. "Rebecca, you took a DNA test. Can you tell us what it showed?" Rebecca pulled out a folded piece of paper from her purse. Her hand shook as she unfolded it. "It showed that my mother and I shared DNA, but not in the way I expected. The percentage was off. It didn't match a mother-daughter relationship. It matched something else." "What did it match?" Dr. Phil asked, though his tone suggested he already knew. "Grandmother and granddaughter," Rebecca said, her voice breaking. "The test said my mother is actually my grandmother." The audience gasped. Linda's face went pale. She closed her eyes, and for a moment it looked like she might faint. Dr. Phil waited. He didn't rush. He let the moment breathe, let the truth settle into the room like dust after an explosion. "Linda," he said gently, "is that true?" Linda's lips trembled. She opened her mouth, but no sound came. Then finally, a whisper, so quiet that the microphones barely caught it. "Yes." Subscribe and leave a comment because the most powerful part of this story is still ahead. The revelation hit like a physical force. Rebecca's face crumpled. She covered her mouth with both hands, her whole body shaking with sobs. Linda reached for her, but Rebecca pulled back, not in anger, but in the overwhelmed confusion of someone whose entire life had just been reframed. "Who is my mother?" Rebecca asked through tears. "If you're my grandmother, then who is my mother?" Linda's own tears started then, years of them, decades of them, breaking through whatever dam she'd built inside herself. "Your mother," she began, her voice cracking, "your mother was my daughter." "Your sister?" "Sarah." Rebecca's face went blank. "Sarah? Sarah who died when I was 5? "Yes." The audience was silent. Some were crying. Others sat frozen, processing what they were hearing. On stage, Dr. Phil remained still, his face serious, letting the family navigate this moment without interference. "Sarah was 16 when she had you," Linda continued, the words tumbling out now like she couldn't stop them. "She was just a child herself, pregnant, scared, and we lived in a different time, a time when people judged, when having a baby that young could ruin a girl's whole life." "So you took me?" Rebecca asked, her voice small, childlike. "We decided together," Linda said. "Sarah wanted to finish school. She wanted a future, and I wanted to protect her, protect you both. So we told everyone you were mine, that I'd had a late-in-life baby, and Sarah became your sister." "Did she want that?" Rebecca asked. "Did she want to give me up?" "She didn't give you up," Linda said firmly. "She was there. She raised you with me. You knew her. You loved her. She loved you more than anything in this world." "But she never told me," Rebecca said. "She died when I was 5, and she never told me she was my mother. She wanted to. God, she wanted to, but we'd kept it secret for so long, and we didn't know how. We kept saying we'd tell you when you were older, when you could understand. And then she got sick, and then she was gone." The weight of it settled over the stage. A mother who died, never claiming her child. A daughter who'd never known the truth about the woman she called her sister. And a grandmother who'd carried the secret for 47 years. Dr. Phil, who'd remained quiet during this exchange, now leaned forward. His voice when he spoke was gentle but clear. "Rebecca, I need you to hear something. What your mother and grandmother did, they did out of love. It may not have been the decision you would have made. It may not have been the right decision, but it came from a place of wanting to protect you, wanting to give Sarah a chance, wanting to hold this family together."
Rebecca nodded, still crying, but listening. "Linda," Dr. Phil continued, turning to the older woman, "you've carried this alone for a long time, longer than anyone should have to carry something this heavy. And I want you to know that telling the truth today, as hard as it was an act of love, too. Because secrets don't protect people, they isolate them. And your granddaughter needed to know who she really is." Linda sobbed, nodding, unable to speak. But then something happened that no one in the studio expected. Not the producers, not the audience, not even Dr. Phil himself. The producer he'd spoken to earlier appeared from the wings, walking quickly across the stage. In her hands was another envelope. This one looked older, yellowed at the edges like it had been stored away for years. She handed it to Dr. Phil and whispered something in his ear. His eyebrows rose. He looked at Linda, then Rebecca, then back at the envelope. "Linda," Dr. Phil said slowly, "when our team reached out to you before the show, you mentioned that Sarah left something behind, something she'd written before she died. Is this it?" Linda's eyes went wide. I didn't know if I should." "Did Sarah write this for Rebecca?" Dr. Phil asked. Linda nodded, tears streaming down her face. "She wrote it the week before she died. She was in the hospital, and she knew she was running out of time. She asked me to give it to Rebecca when she was old enough to understand, but I was too scared of what it would do to us, so I kept it." Dr. Phil held the envelope gently, like it was sacred. He looked at Rebecca. "Do you want to know what your mother wrote to you?" Rebecca couldn't speak. She just nodded, tears pouring down her face. Dr. Phil carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a folded letter, handwritten in blue ink, the paper fragile with age. He unfolded it slowly, his eyes scanning the words first before reading them aloud. "My beautiful Rebecca," he began, his voice steady but emotional. "If you're reading this, then I'm already gone. And I'm so sorry. Sorry that I couldn't be there to watch you grow up. Sorry that I couldn't tell you the truth when I had the chance. Sorry that you had to find out this way." Rebecca was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. Linda reached for her hand, and this time Rebecca didn't pull away. She held on. Dr. Phil continued, "I was 16 when I had you. Just a kid myself, and I was so scared. Scared of what people would say. Scared I wouldn't be a good enough mother. Scared I'd ruin your life before it even started. So Mom and I made a plan. She would raise you as hers, and I would be your big sister. And we told ourselves that was the right thing to do." He paused, letting the words sink in before continuing. "But Rebecca, I need you to know something. Every single day of your life, I was your mother. I fed you, I rocked you to sleep. I was there for your first word, your first step, your first day of school. I watched you grow into the most beautiful, kind, smart little girl I could have ever dreamed of. And I loved you. God, I loved you so much it hurt." The audience was openly crying now. Even some of the crew members had tears in their eyes. "I wish I'd been brave enough to tell you the truth," Dr. Phil read on. "I wish I'd told you that when I tucked you in at night, it wasn't as your sister, it was as your mother. That when I told you I loved you, I meant it in a way that was bigger than any words we had. But I was scared, and then I got sick, and time ran out." Dr. Phil's voice grew softer but no less clear. "If you're reading this, you know now, and I hope you can forgive me. Forgive Mom for keeping the secret. Forgive me for not being strong enough to break it. But most of all, I hope you know that you were loved. You are loved. And no matter what name you called me, I was always, always your mother." The letter ended there. Dr. Phil carefully refolded and placed it back in the envelope. He handed it to Rebecca, who held it to her chest like it was the most precious thing in the world. "That letter," Dr. Phil said quietly, "is a gift. It's the truth Sarah wanted you to have, and now you have it." Rebecca couldn't speak. She just held the letter and cried. Linda wrapped her arms around her, and the two women, grandmother and granddaughter, mother and daughter, in all the ways that mattered, held each other while the years of secrets finally broke open. Dr. Phil stood and walked to the edge of the stage. He looked directly into the camera, not to the studio audience, but to everyone watching at home. "If you're watching this, and you're carrying a secret," he said, his voice firm but compassionate, "I want you to understand something. Secrets don't protect the people we love. They imprison them. They create walls where there should be bridges. And the longer you wait to tell the truth, the heavier that truth becomes." He gestured back to Rebecca and Linda. "These two women have been given a gift today. Not an easy one, not a comfortable one, but a real one, the gift of truth. And that truth is going to hurt for a while. It's going to be messy and complicated and hard to process, but it's also going to set them free." The camera pulled back to show the whole stage. Rebecca and Linda were still holding each other. The envelope with Sarah's letter rested between them. Dr. Phil turned back to them. "Rebecca, I've arranged for you and Linda to meet with one of the best family therapists in the country, someone who specializes in helping families navigate exactly this kind of revelation, because healing from this isn't something you do alone." He looked at Linda. "And Linda, you've been carrying this weight for 47 years. It's time to put it down, not because what you did was wrong, but because holding on to it is hurting both of you." The older woman nodded, exhausted but relieved, like a burden had finally been lifted. Dr. Phil picked up the DNA test envelope from his desk, the one that had started all of this. He held it up for a moment, then set it down gently. "This envelope changed everything today, but it didn't change the love between these two women. It didn't change the years they spent together. It didn't change the fact that family is built on more than biology. It's built on showing up, on loving someone even when it's hard. And that's what both Sarah and Linda did for you." Rebecca looked up at him, tears still streaming, but something else in her eyes now. Understanding, maybe even peace. The truth doesn't erase the past, Dr. Phil said. It gives you the power to move forward with clarity, and that's what you both have now. Share and subscribe. Make sure this story is never forgotten. The cameras kept rolling as Rebecca and Linda stood, embraced one more time, and walked off stage together. The audience rose in a standing ovation, not for the drama, but for the courage it took to face the truth. Dr. Phil remained on stage, the DNA test envelope still sitting on his desk. He looked at it for a long moment, then looked directly into the camera one last time. "Secrets have a cost," he said, simply, "and the people who pay that cost are the ones we love most." If this story made you think about your own family, your own truths, then let it be a reminder. It's never too late to choose honesty. It's never too late to choose healing. And it's never too late to tell someone the truth they deserve to know. The lights dimmed. The envelope remained center stage, a symbol of everything that had been hidden and everything that had been revealed.